card! Great!
Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it.
How's it going, everyone? I am the Dungeon Meister, and welcome back to the table. And today on Shadowverse, we are doing something a little bit different, where today, instead of having a deck that I want to talk about, I'm going to kind of cover 3 different ones here, and you can kind of see on the screen where this is going, and I want to just talk about the meta and my personal thoughts and opinions on it. There's a Grand Prix going on right now, and I haven't done my runs yet. I'll be doing them probably after this, and I'll probably start making videos on it earlier in the next week. But this is probably one of the worst starts to a new set that Shadowverse has had in a long time, in my opinion. Where we're at right now is so unfun. The feeling I have for it right now that I have when I play Shadowverse is the feeling that usually kind of creeps in the last couple weeks before a new expansion comes out, where it's like, okay, I've seen these decks, there's nothing new and exciting, I don't really want to play anything, I'll just wait it out. And I'm feeling that like 2 weeks into the new expansion. There's still like 2.5 months to go before this goes anywhere. There is the mini expansion that'll come out in, you know, however long, another month or so probably. But, you know, I mean, how much is that really going to help? The kind of big thing that we're dealing with, obviously, is these 3 decks, which you could probably guess is Discard, Vengeance, and Wrath. And these 3 are the most common and most just like high winning percentage, because they, you know, they just beat every other deck that isn't top tier. And unless you have mirror matches, you are basically playing a triangle of these decks. And if you're not, you know, maybe a random like forest deck or rune deck can squeak a win in here and there, but like consistently, you're probably gonna be playing these if you want to climb. And that's okay, except Cygames rolled out so many nerfs at the start. They didn't even give old decks a chance to breathe in the new meta. The old decks were just completely shut down. Arm Dragon sucks now because of all the changes that they made. And, you know, there are others that I'm spacing right now, but you know what I mean. Like, Enhanced Portal also got basically gutted. The Judith nerfs pretty much killed the deck. And it's just, like, why? Why are we here? You know, especially with the Miku collab that they knew was coming, and how many new players have gotten invested into the game because they really like Hatsune Miku and all of the Vocaloids. You know, collab events are huge for Cygames, and they always bring an influx of new people, and especially this time around, with just how popular Miku is and all the Vocaloids. Having a meta that is this, like, honestly, this shitty is not fun for new players, you know, because even if the decks aren't incredibly expensive to make, which I think they all are, pretty much all of these are like a little hard to pilot, where if you're brand new to the game, you're probably going to struggle a lot trying to learn these decks. Discard is probably the easiest out of the bunch, but, you know, that said, I mean, it can still be a little challenging knowing what to keep and what to pitch and, you know, when to play your cards and stuff like that. And so, like, this is, for a time frame where you're looking at increasing new players to the game, this is a horrible meta to be introduced to, because it's not fun. There's, like, no creativity, where if somebody is new hopping into the game, you know, they might see a card that they like out of, you know, any of the rotation sets and go, hey, this card's really cool, I really like this card. Is there a deck I could play around it? And right now, the answer is probably going to be no, because unless that card is a part of one of these 3 decks, you're going to try and do what you can and just, you know, get crushed. Mysteria, you know, one of my personal favorites, just doesn't hold a candle to any of these, even if they brick. Even if any of these decks brick, like, Mysteria probably can't win just because they need so long to get going that by turn 7, when you're popping off your combo, you're probably already dead. And I am having a tough time with this meta. Usually, like, the start of a new set is when I log all of my games and I really start my grind, not only on the battle pass, but, you know, trying to get all my coins back, participating in the events, stuff like that. And I just haven't. I play, you know, a few times a week to try and get content for my videos. And then, you know, once I have the videos made and edited, I log in to get my daily streak, and that's pretty much it. I don't even want to play my missions because I'm sick and tired of playing against and playing with these decks. And just the nature of the game and wanting to play, my, you know, next videos that are going to come out probably will feature some of these. Probably discard dragon because, you know, I'm a dragon main. I love dragon, but you know, I know that's not what anyone really wants to see. No one wants to see, you know, like, the beatdown of this. It's fun to watch, you know, in the very, very beginning when it's like no one really knows how good this stuff's gonna be. But everyone knows at this point how good this stuff is. And so, like, making content on this, in my opinion, is almost next to worthless, where, you know, obviously there are going to be some people who do want to see it, and that's totally okay. You know, you might like these decks, you might be a diehard dragon fan or a diehard blood fan, and when the meta is like this and now the class that you love playing the most is on top, like, you might absolutely want to watch videos on this. But for people who understand what the top decks are and are looking for, you know, maybe mid-tier decks that are a little silly or have, you know, fun gimmicks, like I posted that neutral shadow using Corpse King. That video did pretty well because the concept of the deck was just so wild, and, you know, it has a hard time against this meta because both of these decks kind of shut it down, and so there's just no room for creativity. There's no room to really have fun right now, and I don't know. I'm hoping once the Grand Prix is over, maybe they'll roll out another balance patch and, you know, tone down these decks, or at least, at the very least, if they don't want to touch any of their new cards, which is, you know, a theme that Cygames likes to do, is whenever a new set comes out, all the old things get nerfed and all the new things run free, unless, like, they are over the top broken and they need, like, emergency fixed. But most of the time they let all the new cards sit until the next set comes out. But hopefully once the Grand Prix is over, we can have a balance patch again where they will revive some of the other decks, or at the very least tone down some of these current meta decks so that other decks can have a chance. And if that doesn't work and they don't do anything after the Grand Prix, then we're just kind of holding out until the mini expansion, and I hopefully by then new cards will be a breath of fresh air, and at the same time they introduce new cards, maybe then they'll introduce a balance patch if they don't before. And I just, really the point of this was just to kind of express my personal thoughts on it, and just kind of how sad I am right now with the state of the meta and just Shadowverse in general, because this was such a good opportunity to bring more players into the game, and I don't think that's going to happen. There might be like handfuls of people who stick around, but, you know, and on top of everything else that's pretty shitty with this meta right now, if you do anything like with the Vocaloid events and stuff, so like if you go into the quests and stuff, if you do any of the quests, I'm gonna click out of this real quick, any of the quests or the chain battles and stuff, like that stuff as a content creator, you could get like copyright striked on it because it's Vocaloid. So content creators can't even use the new game mode that Cygames introduced because they'll get copyright striked. And then, you know, if you are able to get monetized, the video becomes demonetized, so you don't make anything off of it. You know, it's not so bad for me because I'm not monetized yet, but for other creators who are, like, you would think you would want them to promote not only this awesome collab, but hey, this new game mode with this awesome collab. And you can't do either of those things, like, from a financial standpoint. You just can't. Because it'll get copyright striked, and then you won't make anything on it. And so there are handfuls of creators who have already stated that they are not going to be doing that, and which really sucks because I liked the chain battles. One of my favorite things in Hearthstone was the roguelike aspect of deck building, where you go against a boss and at the end you can pick cards that get added to your deck, and then you do it again, and each battle has its own gimmick. And if they do this in the future, I think that is an incredibly healthy thing to bring to the game. That would be so much fun, you know, for people who stream or make content, to get their chat involved, get their community involved, to, you know, really do some of those fun things. And it would be something different that isn't, you know, playing rotation or unlimited or, you know, take two. That could just be something that would be fun. Kind of like with Crosscraft, you know, they really kind of struck gold on that too. And while it's not permanent, they bring it back like I think they've only had it twice, and I think there was like a 6-month gap in between, basically 2 sets before they brought it back. And I think they could do something like that pretty much once per set. It is introduced that like chain battle system where the decks can be expanded upon and built upon, and just new mechanics. I think that would be an amazing change. I know a lot of people, including myself, were very pleased with it, although sometimes you had to get a little creative with your deck building. But that's kind of the fun part, right? Is you can use any cards you have available from any set, so you can use unlimited deck building to go against the AI. And, you know, veteran players have a little bit of an advantage because their knowledge of the game is going to carry them a little bit farther. But even new players, you know, could, as long as you have the ability to read cards, you know, new players could probably, after a couple runs, figure it out. And so I hope they bring it back in the future. I hope they expand upon it a little bit more, add even more game modes to it. But I'm probably going to round out the video here. And I know this is something a little bit different than what I usually do, but I thought it would be good just to kind of address the situation, because I feel like it is important that, you know, people understand what's happening here, and that, you know, even though my voice is small, it's still a voice. I still want to express my opinions and just kind of address the state of the game and what my hopes are, what my wishes are for the future. But yeah, just a quick recap in a nutshell. I hope they introduce a balance patch sooner rather than later to get us out of this triangle meta where it's just these 3 decks. I hope they, in the future, are a little bit more flexible with their collabs if they choose to bring in big names like Hatsune Miku and the Vocaloids. That they are a little bit kinder to, you know, content creators in terms of, you know, getting copyright striked and things like that, and expanding upon their game modes, because they have something good going, and I would like to see that go even further. But yeah, we're gonna round out this video here. If you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching, and as always, I will see you in the next one.
The light of tomorrow illuminates the path.
The will of the forest guides my spear.
How could I let this happen?
Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Keep my head up when I act, head up, that's a fact. Never looking back, I'ma keep myself on track. Keep my head up, staying strong, always moving on. Feel I don't belong, tell my thoughts to move along.